Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and last night I had a chance to see the movie Pixels before it was released to the public. And given that I'm a total fan of anything that's pixelated, I was in to the theater. But I mean, I was into being able to go to the theater. Free Pixels? I had no idea that was even possible. I should remind everybody that this video is free, and that I don't really do reviews all that well, and I think I'm making a rude gesture to all of those who live in the UK right now. I don't know if I necessarily have a score or a rating system for watching movies. Usually I just watch movies and enjoy watching them, or I don't. And for the most part, I enjoyed watching this movie. You can stop watching this video if that was enough for you. Or you can keep watching! The first thing that jumped out at me is that my retro bone was tickled. I didn't even realize I had a retro bone until I watched this movie. It was a trip down memory lane. I remember going to an arcade and plunking in quarter after quarter or token after token and playing 3 lives in about 15 seconds. So I basically have 2 words for anybody who complains about a 99-cent app or a $5 app. Shut up! In my day, we had in-app purchases, only we didn't get to download the app. We had to go to it and play it. That was my best impression of an elderly person. And I think in YouTube terms, that's exactly how people see me, given that I'm north of 40. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of in-app purchases, and I realize I'm getting well off the topic. What was the topic? I'm a classic gamer. I love retro stuff, which means I'm old. I don't know how much I can and cannot say about the movie. Suffice it to say that it's all about classic games attacking the Earth. My next impression was relatively positive. It was kind of like a series of Easter eggs at a certain point during the movie that I'm not going to spoil for anyone, to be able to better identify which games certain things came from. You can't just look at today's video games without thinking about yesterday's video games. They're still as relevant today, at least to those of us who still love them. My next impression was that the special effects were rather stellar. We had a chance to see the screening in 3D, and that was a lot of fun, because usually movies that are shot for 3D don't really look like they deserve to be in 3D, but this movie did, or does. 3D was wonderful. I'm not the type of person who nitpicks over special effects, especially if I suspend disbelief, which is what I frequently do when I'm looking to be entertained. The 3D effects were done so well, at some point I thought there was a real person standing up in front of me when it happened to be Adam Sandler's character on the screen. Disbelief suspended! Speaking of Adam Sandler, the next point I want to make is that this was pretty much like an average Adam Sandler movie. That's what I was expecting, so I didn't walk away disappointed. As long as you find Adam Sandler's general juvenile sense of humor funny, you're going to enjoy this movie. It may have been a bit formulaic, but again, that's kind of what I was expecting, with a whole bunch of classic video game characters in tow. My next impression was that this movie was pretty much every male nerd's dream come true. Especially if you grew up in the 80s. I heard both males and females in the audience laughing at the scenarios that played out on screen. It was just very Adam Sandler-esque. The next impression I had was that I was not easily distracted, which says a lot about the flow of the movie. It's not that I could check social media while watching the film, because they took our phones away from us when we entered the theater, but we got to pick them up on our way out. Except apparently I picked up the wrong person's phone. It was a fun movie to watch, even if I didn't have a chance to talk about it during the actual film, you know, because I was watching the film, and to me, tweeting about the thing that you're watching takes you out of the moment. Honestly, that's why I don't understand how people could live tweet during any performance. Just experience it. Then talk about it. Trust me, your 12 followers who are actually paying attention can wait. My next impression was that it was a lot of fun to be able to watch it with a kindred spirit audience. Most of the audience, comprised of both males and females, laughed or cheered in unison. We were there, man! Experiencing something together! And that's not something that I do on a regular basis. It's not that I don't like going to the theater, it's just that I'm afraid of how much it's usually going to cost. If I didn't have a chance to see the movie the way I did last night, I probably would have waited until I could rent it. It kind of got a little awkward when I was leaving the theater, as some random nerd with no social skills whatsoever was trying to engage me in a conversation. I couldn't figure out what the hell he was talking about. Is that a trope? Maybe the people who invited me were trying to immerse me in the whole nerdy experience. I didn't need the help. And that, my friends, is how I choose to review movies. By talking about them and my experiences. Thanks again for taking the time to watch, like, comment, subscribe, watch even more of our videos right now, and at this point I'm going to leave you to your own devices.